This is Lisa from Mobile Tech Review, and fast forward a year, 2017, and this is the second generation Lenovo ThinkPad X1 tablet. What have they changed? Not a whole lot, so this is not going to be a long video. Pretty much it's just an upgrade to Intel's 7th generation Kaby Lake CPUs. Now this uses the artist formerly known as Intel Core M CPU. Now they call them Core i5-Y and Core i7-Y. Still, the 4.5 watt dual core CPUs for very low power machines, which used to be really common in 12-inch tablets like this. And in fact, the entry level of the new Microsoft Surface Pro uses a Core M CPU in it as well. But a lot of the competition has moved on to Core i5 and i7. How much of a difference is that going to make? We're going to find out now. So it's back, and like I said, it looks pretty much like the last generation model, so we're not going to spend a super amount of time reviewing what we've already covered before. That review is still available on our channel. What is this? It's a 12-inch Windows 10 tablet with Intel Core M CPUs now, and Intel 7th generation Kaby Lake, called, like I said, Core i5-Y and Core i7-Y CPUs. Still basically Core M, 4.5 watt dual core CPUs. And you've got the same durable ThinkPad look. If you look at it, you say that's a ThinkPad. It's got their usual magnesium alloy and rugged plastic, mil-spec, passed a bunch of tests. So it's, you know, a little bit durable. There's some tablets, like I love the Samsung Galaxy Book 12-inch, but it feels like you got to take care of it. This one feels like you could bash a burglar with it, which is laudable, I suppose, in this segment. It has the reverse of the Surface kicks down. There's a little release lever here, rather, and you go like that, and it pops out. And it's very stiff to get it out, like that. So it's pretty stiff on the table if you have it at this angle, which is not too far reclined. If you go back like a little bit more than 45 degrees, though, and you put your hand on it, it's just going to go boom. So for those of you who want to prop it up to take notes or do art, that's not the most awesome thing in the world, unfortunately. Like Surface Pro and just about every other tablet on the market these days, it uses a pogo pin magnetic connector, and that's how the included keyboard attaches to it. Also, there are Lenovo modules for this. They love to make modular products, don't they, between the Moto Z and this. So there's a little plastic cover here you take off, and then there's a productivity bar that adds USB ports, HDMI, extended battery. There's a battery little barrel sort of shaped thing that you can get for this to add another 5 hours of runtime. And there's even a projector. So you business people who run around giving PowerPoint presentations to the joy of all can do it pretty easily with this. Now the audio, you're going to want to be the one providing the talking points, because the speakers on this are very thin and very tinny sounding, unfortunately. There's like Zippo bass on it, and it sounds a little thin, a little bit hissy if you bring it up to max volume. It's not that loud, so you probably will want to bring it up to max volume. On the positive side, the keyboard is brilliant. I mean, when is a ThinkPad keyboard not brilliant, right? They're always very good. It may be low travel, it's about 1.2 millimeters, but the actuation force is balanced on it. It's excellent, which means there is some force. It's not mushy at all. It has a tactile feel. The shape is good. Sure, it's a 12-inch keyboard, so it's not going to be the hugest thing in the world, but it's good. And it has two-stage backlighting. And the usual Lenovo trackpad with the track point eraser stick pointer up here and your 3 buttons up top. So comfy and good customizable trackpad. There's software settings for it. Not as elaborate as in some ThinkPad laptops, but still there. And even the keyboard has a whole lot of customizations. Check it out. This is very rigid. It's very stiff. If you found Surface type covers a little bit too flexible, you can twist this if you try, but you know, why abuse it like that? It feels a lot like a laptop keyboard. It does the usual 2-position mounting thing. So the keyboard can lay flat. It's got a sort of an accordion style piece over here, and here it's silent. You're not going to hear any vibration or any echo. And if you put it up like that, that's a nice steep angle. It's a little bit more than, say, Surface Pro has. And there's a little bit of echo or hollow sound, you know, because there's a space underneath, but really not much. It's not too bad. And then Lenovo calls it a 3-position. I suppose you can try to fold up this little piece partially, like, come on, there we go, like that. And you could do that with it too if you just want a little bit of a raised thing. And then it's very quiet and very solid and gives you a little bit of tilt. That's pretty good. So the kickstand, like I was talking about here, it's pretty firm. If I'm doing this, it's going to stay. If I do that, it'll still stay. But that's higher than you would use for writing and for drawing, certainly. So if you put it like that, yeah, anything beyond that is going to fall over. So the tablet comes with the Lenovo Pro Pen, which has been around for a while. It's not their newer revised active pen too that they've been selling for the Yoga 720 series, though that actually works as well. I didn't notice a huge difference in performance, probably because the digitizer on this is really still the older digitizer, but still, it's pressure sensitive. It has palm rejection, and it's a Wacom AES digitizer, that newer, more affordable and modern digitizer that Wacom came up with to compete with Entrig, and it's pretty good. The initial activation force on it is pretty reasonable on it. You have the Wacom control panel, so you can set how sensitive it is to pressure, and you can program your side buttons globally. It's not a per application kind of thing. It's a good pen experience. I enjoy it. I actually like it, certainly as well as Entrig and Surface Pro, and maybe a little bit more. Though you don't get things like tilt, which is supposed to be coming to Surface Pro 2017 model across a variety of applications instead of just a handful like we have right now. The weight is pretty much just the same as Surface Pro again. It's always the one to beat and to match. So it's 1.69 pounds naked, or 767 grams. With the keyboard, it's 2.35 pounds, or 1.07 kilograms. That's pretty darn light and portable. It's only 8.5 millimeters thick, 13.85 millimeters if you measure it with the keyboard attached. So it's quite slim and light. So this competes with the likes of course, again, the Surface Pro, the Acer Switch, the Dell Latitude 5285 that we reviewed, the Samsung Galaxy Book. And one of the challenges there is that most of those have moved over to full Intel Core i5 and i7 CPUs, the 15-watt dual cores that you'll find also in Ultrabooks, except for obviously the base model of the Surface Pro. So horsepower-wise, this one isn't going to be as fast. It's fine for light work if you're giving PowerPoint presentations, if you're doing Word documents, if you're surfing the web, if you're doing CRM stuff, web-based stuff, it's fine. 8 gigs of low-power DDR3 RAM is standard. You can go up to 16, but as Lenovo likes to do, they upsell you on the CPU. They bundle that with the i7-7Y75, which is $150 more, then $180 more for that 16 gigs of RAM. So the base price is around $1,449. That brings you up to about $1,780 if you want to get that powerful. I suspect for most people's purposes, they are doing light work with this sort of tablet, so you probably aren't going to want to spend the extra on it. As always with the Core M family of CPUs, the base clock speed is rather low, like 1.2 gigahertz for our Core i7-7Y57 CPU. The base model is a 1.2 gigahertz base clock speed. But turbo boost is high, 3.3 gigahertz on our Core i5, for example. So the turbo boost almost matches your regular Core i5 and i7 family of CPUs. The challenge is Core M can't spend all its time in boost, can it? So otherwise, there we go. Your battery life, it would outrun its 4.5 watt allowable thermals. You get the idea. So for sustained tasks, usually that's where you start to notice the Core M family not really shining anymore. But for those little micro bursts that you need when you're not pushing it too hard, it can seem just fine, and performance levels look okay. On paper, if you look at the Geekbench scores, you see it looks like a Core i5 from about 2 years ago. It doesn't look that bad. Again, the challenge is sustaining that, which is a little bit harder. So this guy is for light lifting, not for heavy lifting. The base has 128 gig SATA interface SSD, and you can go up from there to 56 gig PCIe NVMe, which is what we have, and the 512 gig is the largest. Now, one of the special things about this that is superior to most tablets on the market is you can actually open it up to service it. You've got a couple of screws under the kickstand, then you slide off that little plastic bottom cover that you would take off if you were using modules. There's a couple more screws, and you can pry the back off on this. No heat guns, no glue fest, you know, it's meant to be serviced. The RAM is soldered on, but the SSD is your usual M2 socketed SSD, and the Wi-Fi card is accessible. It's also available with 4G LTE, a Qualcomm Snapdragon X7 modem made by Sierra Wireless, so that's a nice touch too. And the card slot for that, just like the micro SD card slot, is under the kickstand. Ports are about comparable to, well, like Surface Pro, you know the story. You can't fit a lot of ports on this, but we do have a mini display port and one USB 3.0 port, so you don't have to run out and buy dongles immediately. There's a USB-C port that's used to charge. It comes with a 45-watt charger with a USB-C connector, and it also does do data out too. In fact, I tested it with displays. It worked just fine with a USB-C to HDMI adapter for a 1080p display, but it balked when I used a USB-C to display port connector and a 4K display. Lenovo business laptops used to not have the best displays. This one's actually pretty good. It's not that different from the last generation, honestly, either. It's a 3:2 aspect ratio like Surface Pro, and it's pretty high resolution. It's 2160 by 1440. That's no slouch, and it's bright. This is bright enough for outdoor use. 349 nits we measured. Adobe RGB, sRGB, they're competitive with what's out there on the market, maybe 2 or 3 points below, but that's pretty insignificant in terms of that. And you can see the rest of the metrics up on screen, particularly the black levels are good and the contrast is good. Now, the delta E was way out of whack. This thing was not well calibrated out of the box is what that means, but it does calibrate up pretty well. And it's pretty easy on the eyes thanks to high contrast and plenty of brightness available. So nothing to complain about there. Other goodies include a fingerprint scanner, a hardware DTPM, and Intel 8265 AC Wi-Fi. Battery life, you know, gee, this is a tough one. It has a 2-cell 37 watt-hour battery, but pretty much Lenovo intends that you're going to be using this with either the productivity bar or the battery bar that adds on another 5 hours, they claim, of runtime. It's about 10 watt-hour, that battery. It's okay, about 5.5 hours of runtime. That's for a tablet. People expect more these days, so that's a little harsh. We don't expect iPad Pro level of runtime because mobile OS tablets always do better, but the new Surface Pro really does a lot better. The Galaxy Book 12-inch does a lot better on that. So yeah, consider buying definitely the battery or the productivity bar for this. So that's the Lenovo ThinkPad X1 tablet, 2nd generation. And for Lenovo fans, Lenovo people who love that keyboard, who like Lenovo's software experience, well, it's certainly worth a look. The price is competitive with other 12-inch Windows 10 tablets out there on the market, and a few things actually still set it apart. Lenovo loves those modular design products. Like I said, they in fact own Moto, who makes the Moto Z with the modular back product. So just like the last generation, you can slap on a productivity bar to add more ports, a battery. You can put a projector on this. So it's unusual in that respect. And if you find that useful, which some business folks might, you know, you people with PowerPoint on the road, I'm talking about you. There's a certain cachet here, and the price is fair enough. I'm Lisa from Mobile Tech Review. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more cool tech videos, and thumbs up if you like this vid.